That was a wrestling reference.
Ah.
I am a big. I've recently gotten back into it, but I used to be a big WWE fan, and I've discovered I still like it when it's actually good. Whoops. Hey, get on the horse, Ellie. Thank you.
I think we should go out like Eugene.
From a stroke?
No, from old age. Like living a long life.
You? No way. Come on. You're way too reckless.
So going back to Troy Baker, are you an Indiana Jones fan by any chance?
You'll probably
They're okay. I'll play the game,
Wearing boots today.
but
So you've seen the trailer?
yeah, I didn't realize that was Troy.
Near the end, I recognized him. At first, I was like, this guy's doing a pretty good Harrison Ford impression. And by the I just know Troy Baker's voice so well
Fuck you.
after all these years that by the end, I was like, oh, that is definitely Troy Baker. I think he's doing an okay job.
Well, you know, now he's done Han Solo. God damn it. He's done Indiana Jones and the Joker. He's got 2/3 of the original Star Wars trilogy cast down.
That's a good point.
He can voice all three of them in the next Star Wars game.
Sure. Yeah, Arkham Origins and The Last of Us in 2013 were like the 1-2 punch that made me a massive Troy Baker fan. I was like, holy crap, this guy's amazing.
I recently just finished replaying that.
Oh, nice. I played the Cold Heart DLC for the first time, and I had a fun time with it.
I've got to play that. I have it on PC, so I played it all on my Steam Deck. It ran really well.
So, do you have an Xbox as well?
No, I have a PS5 and a PC and a Steam Deck.
Yeah, I thought the new Indiana Jones game was Xbox exclusive, unless that's also on PC or
It's also
Steam Deck.
every piece. So every Xbox game or Microsoft game is also on PC. And then if you buy a game on Steam, it's in your Steam Deck library because it's using your Steam profile.
Looks like infected did this.
Hey, look, dinner.
How long do you think it would take to bring down a moose?
Well, I still need to get a PS5, so I'm probably never gonna get to play that Indiana Jones game.
Let's go find him.
And it's okay.
And,
You have
and
Uncharted.
also, that's true. And the trailer didn't do much for me. I shouldn't have been surprised, but when the trailer confirmed that it was going to be a first person, that kind of killed my interest in it. I was like, oh, I think this looks kind of awkward. I'm not.
So it's going to be a
jazzed for first
hybrid.
person.
It's only going to be
Okay.
first person in some sections. I forget what the split's going to be. But it's going to be a first person and third person game.
This way.
Because I've heard the argument for it being, well, if it was third person, it'd be too derivative of Uncharted or Lara Croft. And I'm like, I don't care. I like those games. I just want a fun Indiana Jones game.
Yeah, I know our very own The Day Ghost is super hyped for that, but he's a massive Indiana Jones fan.
Alright.
It'll be on Game Pass. I'll cap a subscription to Game Pass and run through it.
Let's see if we can get around.
Well, I hope he enjoys it. Like I said, I'm probably never going to get to play it, but it was this weird thing of being crushingly disappointed when I found out it wasn't going to be on PlayStation. But then I watched the gameplay trailer, and it didn't do a lot for me, so I don't feel like I'm missing much. But I hope he enjoys it, because like I said, I'm a massive Indiana Jones fan too. So for people who get to play it, I hope they enjoy it.
Yeah. I think it'll be pretty good. It won't be... My game of the year will come out next month when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out. Shit.
Nice. Well, and then in a year or two, we'll get Grand Theft Auto 6 and the massive.
You good? Yeah.
I don't like Grand Theft Auto. I think they're kind of boring.
Row, by the way.
I had a blast with the fifth one. I think it's a lot of fun.
The only two Rockstar games that I've ever played that like I was hooked on is the first Red Dead Redemption and Bully.
Yeah, my friend was a big fan of Red Dead Redemption, and he liked the second one, but I don't think he ever finished it. It was just too
Dude's
big.
problem is that it's too big. I'm so fucking sick of these like 100-hour open world games that don't justify being 100-hour open world games. And they trade fun, in my opinion, for realism. To the point where, in my opinion, it's more annoying to play because I have to worry about, am I too far away from my horse? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Have I bathed recently?
Yeah, the only game like that I've gotten really that into, that I put hundreds of hours into, was Metal Gear Solid 5.
I've never played that. I've never played any of those. I want to grab that like remaster that they did at some point. I've been playing Death Stranding, and it's surprisingly really fun.
That's cool. I started it. I need to get back to it, but it's been a couple years, so I'll probably just start over.
I would advise starting over, and keep in mind it takes a while to get going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've played all the Metal Gear. Like, I was a big fan of Metal Gear growing up, and the fifth one's the first one that's like an open world game. The rest are purely linear story, but I can see them being hard to get into if you're not like a kid or a teenager.
All I know about the fifth one is it had a super troubled development, and it's basically like an unfinished game.
It is, but that's kind of the advantage of it being an open world experience, is just that you still get hundreds of hours out of it.
True. I didn't think he was going to turn around. Also, one thing I like about playing as Ellie and Abby to a degree is you no longer have to worry about shivs. You have an infinite shiv.
True.
Dude, they remade the shiv model in the remake of Part 1, and it looks brutal. It's like a piece of rebar with like cloth tied around it.
Looks like it.
Ugh.
It's like, oh, you're shoving that into people's neck?
Let's keep circling the building. There's gotta be a way in.
Yeah, we didn't get shivs in the show, but we did get Joel stabbing a guy in the neck with a kitchen knife, and I thought that was pretty brutal and satisfying.
Well, yeah, you have to have infected in the show to have shivs.
We see Ellie stab a couple with her knife.
I don't see anything else worth grabbing.
By far the most annoying thing for me about looting is every time you're like, "Ooh, I found something." Oh, it's just a brick or a bottle.
Well, in this game, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. You can actually turn on... Where is it? There's an enhanced listen mode, and you can turn it up to maximum. So when you put on listen, it'll pan out and tell you where things are.
Oh,
So, like, see how those white circles are there?
Just give me a second. The lag is pretty bad.
Like, just that you're behind, or is it actually lagging?
Oh, no, it's playing fine. Just behind myself a second. Okay, now I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, you can actually see where... I wasn't gonna turn it on, because I'm not worried about collectibles, but I don't want to miss out on any resources.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one thing that I love about these games is that for the majority of them, you can kind of just play it however you want, either stealthily or just guns a-blazing. That is one thing I really appreciate about both of these, is like, if you have no ammo and are just completely dry on resources, the game will give some back to you fairly quickly, and it's still possible to get through every section. You just have to be really good at stealth.
I beat the remaster of Part 1 on Survivor difficulty. That was not fun.
Look. See? All right. Let's figure out how to get
Because that's one thing that I don't love about the Arkham games that I kind of wish they had figured out by Arkham Knight, is just the way that the game is so split up between brawling sections and stealth sections. Like, they should be more mixed by that point, in my opinion.
Under here.
Well, there's a lot of things they didn't figure out with Han in that game.
Yeah. And I'm curious what you think about this as a considerably more hardcore gamer than I am. When it comes to big franchise IPs like Batman or Spider-Man, when a sequel comes out, like if they get it right, if they get a game right, like Arkham Asylum,
Are you clean?
I'm not necessarily asking for the sequel to have to rebuild everything from the ground up and reinvent the wheel. Like, if they just made like 5 more Arkham games where it's just the same map from Arkham Knight, but just telling new stories with different villains and different boss fights, that would be enough for me. I don't need every big sequel to a big game like that. Like, okay, now we gotta rebuild all of Gotham City and we gotta refigure out everything. I'm like, I'm that's why I didn't mind the Miles Morales game, because I'm like, yeah, I kind of want more games like this, assuming they're cheaper. Is just, yeah, just give me the same world and mechanics. Just give me a new story. Like, I don't need every massive sequel to be a huge leap forward or anything. Like, do you agree? Disagree?
Not sure.
No, I'm mostly in agreement. Just kind of refine what's already there. Like, I know a lot of people were like upset that Spider-Man 2 wasn't some massive, you know, from the ground up, like, oh, it's so much different than the first one. I liked Miles Morales for what it was. I just don't care about Miles. So I was like, that's fine.
And I still haven't played Spider-Man 2. I haven't been able to, but like, I've never understood that complaint. I'm like, I think the gameplay's solid. I'm just there for a new story.
The main thing I
When I
like from
finally
a
get it.
sequel is quality of life upgrades. Like from Last of Us Part 1 to 2, being able to go prone, being able to sprint faster.
Yeah. This
A
game
way
keeps enough
better
work
fucking
work.
crafting UI.
Yeah, and I actually like the crafting in the first game.
I do too. I just mean the UI in that one's a little clunky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I remember what we had to do.
Yeah, you have to get on.
But yeah, no, I don't need every sequel to reinvent the wheel. I think that's insane to expect.
And in my opinion, it's kind of a waste of time and money, because I forget. Did Arkham Origins get to use like any of the
Arkham
map
Origins
from City?
recycles City, yeah.
I'm in.
Okay, and I think that's fine. Like, I've never had an issue with that.
The only time I take an issue with it is if, so like, say you have the first game is on like the PS3, and then the second game is on like the PS4. At that point, I do expect some kind of evolution.
Sure.
And if you're like going for a while, like the Assassin's Creed games, part of the reason those fizzled out is they released the same game for like 6 years in a row. At some point, you do have to change things up,
Or just release them not as so frequently. Call of Duty, those properties.
Well, and that was the other thing with Assassin's Creed is they were coming out yearly, and it was you could tell it was like actively hurting the development. It's like, how much of this can we reuse to get to the next release?
Mm-hmm. And in the case of The Last of Us 2, I think the sequel succeeds in that, it's 7 years after the first one, and we're in new locations and meeting new characters. Like, it is...
No, this is everything
In
a
every sense, a new game.
cross-generational sequel should be.
Yeah. It is a new game top to bottom, but the gameplay mechanics they carry over enough.
I think we're above it.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get to the ground floor.
I'm not gonna rely on that mechanic that much, but every once in a while, just to see if I've missed anything. Excuse me, Dana. Also, the best thing about this is the AI being smarter. The funniest thing about like The Last of Us remastered is how the AI could just run in front of a clicker and it would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Combo
Oh,
is the day
Ellie-
good boy. Ellie or like Tess could just run in front of a clicker and it's fine.
Or they're like next to a shelf instead of behind it, that people just can't see them.
What does it say? July 2013? Yeah, so 0713.
I don't remember what safe it was. I just remember there was one where I just could not for the life of me get the number right. It took me forever to figure out where it's like I had the number. I was just like, what am I putting in wrong?
We did it.
This game though is a lot more forgiving when it comes to the saves. Like they're really not hard to find the
Well,
combos
the first-
for. It's like, oh, it's in the next room.
Well, yeah, and like the first one, at least with this one, you can also just guess. On the first one, at least on the PS4 version, you couldn't even interact with it unless you had the. This will go ahead and take that. Unless you had the note with the combination, and then you just put it in automatically.
Yeah, every freaking time I play the first game, I get all the safes, but I usually miss the one in Billstown because I always pass it.
Funnily enough, the Part 1 remaster does actually take a lot of the systems from this one and like backpedal them. Like they changed the safes to be this, the gun crafting is this, etc.
Yeah, I noticed that they're a lot more consistent. It makes you wonder if they make a third game, if they keep everything exactly the same, or if they do something a little different with the menus.
I imagine they'll keep it they'll keep with this. I feel like they kind of agreed this is how these games should look.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that is cool about the Part 1 remake, is just that you do get more of that fidelity and connective tissue between the two games. You know, they don't feel
Flicker!
as distinct from different systems.
Why did you hesitate, Dina? Just shoot the fucking thing. Oh boy.
Fucking clickers. Here we go. Extra quiet.
Where'd the other one go? It's all the way over there. Lovely. You don't hear me? You don't hear me? You don't hear me? Gotcha.
Got him.
Ha! Got him.
Those blind motherfuckers make my skin crawl.
And I also wonder when if we get a third game, if it'll be,
And then get the
because the rumor is that currently that Naughty Dog is working on 2 separate projects right now, 2 single-player games, and that one is probably Last of Us 3. My guess would be one of them will be like at the end of PS5, and one of them will be at the beginning of PS6, and it makes me wonder which one will be which.
Yeah, they typically release like one game at the end of the generation now. But with this generation being so screwed over by COVID,
will help.
they may end up extending this console generation.
For sure.
I think if we do get a third one, though, that will be like the finale. They'll want to do a trilogy
Yes.
and then move on. Because one thing I will commend
I
Naughty
agree.
Dog amongst their peers, they do not hold on to franchises. Like when they're done with something, they are done.
Make you a present. I'll take a present.
Yeah, I definitely want a third one, but I want it to be the ending. And also, it's equally important for them to do something new because it's been a while. So, I I just think if we get a Last of Us 3, I want to get it sooner rather than late. I would rather get the Last of Us 3 first, and then we can launch the PlayStation 6 with something that's brand new.
Well, you want to hear something? You want to hear something crazy that just popped into my head? You know when the last time Naughty Dog released a new IP was?
Well, if we're saying Last of Us, like that's over 10 years, right?
It's 11 years.
Yeah, that's insane.
Part of that is because they only shipped one new game on PS4. No, wait, two. Sorry. For some reason, so they only shipped like 2 games this last generation.
Yeah, it's true. Uncharted 4 in this.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I had like a brain fart where I forgot that this came out on the PS4.
Well, it was near the end of it.
Yeah, which is why it didn't surprise me that there was a remaster. People were speculating that before the game even came out.
Were you disappointed that when this game came out that it didn't get any DLC? Like not even an extra little story mission?
Kind of, because I really like Left Behind. But at the same... Yeah, I don't know.
I get why they did it, just because this game is so massive. It's like 3 times bigger than the last one, so... I mean, you get plenty of story here, but something bonus would be nice. Especially since there was no multiplayer, like the first game had.
Yeah.
I think
there's also no, like, clear point of, like, this is where you could do extra story like there is in the first one.
Yeah. Like a flashback story with Joel and Tommy could have been cool.
Yeah, but you could just do, like, one of those Miles Morales-sized games for that.
I just think it's too late for that. I don't want much more. Now that Joel's dead, it feels like that's kind of too late.
You know what?
Like,
I just realized I'm dumb. They did do a third PS4 game because they did that Lost Legacy game.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
That's definitely comparable to, like, Miles Morales in terms of size. The difference is that was just DLC for Uncharted 4 that just kind of expanded into its own game.
Well, but I mean, you can make that same argument that that's what Miles Morales was.
Yeah, sure.
But no, like, yeah, I mean, it's a smaller AAA game, but it's still like a full game that they launched. I forgot about it.
I still haven't played it. I want
It's
to.
all right.
I haven't. I just never got around to it. But yeah,
it's all right. For me, it's the biggest problem with it is just like what I care about in those Uncharted games is Nathan
Are they
Drake.
still moving?
So an Uncharted without Nathan Drake is just like, fine.
I mean, I like Chloe. So.
You know what?
Chloe!
Impressed with us. Yeah. Man, the guys are not going to believe our numbers.
Yeah, for a long time, I felt weird saying that Uncharted 4 was my favorite, just because it felt kind of blasphemous, but it probably is the best of them. Like, that was so much better than we thought it might be.
It's the best gameplay-wise. I think for a full package, 2 is still the best one.
2 is great. It's always been my go-to as the favorite. But if you're there for story, like, man, like, 2 has a good story, but 4 has a really good one.
See, my problem with 4 stories, it's also retconny and retroactive. I hate that whole, oh, we're 4 games in, but here's the sibling you didn't know he had until just now.
Oh, I'm 100% with you there. It took me a long time to be convinced and to roll with that. But once I did, I was like, yeah, like, my favorite stuff with Nathan and Elena is in that 4th game. And yeah, it's a massive retcon, but in the context of the game, I think it works fine. I agree with you that it comes way too late, but I think it works shockingly well, and that's a big uphill climb.
Get over.
That's fair.
And I think they make it work well enough.
And without Uncharted 4, we wouldn't have these top tier rope mechanics.
Here I go.
Yeah, this place I got stuck on first playthrough. I was like, where am I supposed to go?
Same.
I don't know when to offer gameplay advice or not, just because you are several seconds ahead of me, so I'm never sure like where exactly you're at or if you're stuck on anything.
I'll say something if I'm stuck. I'll take that alcohol, thank you. I haven't even had to use my rifle once.
I also
Whoops.
don't think it's... I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that their next big remake project is putting out a remake of the first 3 Uncharted games for PS5.
I don't think so, because they just did the Nathan Drake collection.
Yeah, but that was several years ago, right? Like, and that was just a standard remaster. That wasn't a ground-up remake.
Yeah, it was just a standard remaster. Well, and the thing to keep in mind as well is that, like, as far as I recall, The Last of Us Part 1, the full remake, that was more of a Sony thing than it was a Naughty Dog thing.
Sure. That's a good point. It could be something that Naughty Dog's just not interested in. But obviously with Uncharted 1, I mean, there's a lot more to improve on, both graphically
God,
and
Uncharted
gameplay
1
wise.
is rough. I replayed that before the PS5 version of 4 and Lost Legacy came out. It is rough.
Oh yeah, I still think it's fun, but it's got problems.
This is getting worse.
It's better than 3 still, but
We're almost there.
Yeah, and I like 3. I think 3's fine. It's
3
just
just feels tired.
I know, girl. I know.
my biggest hang-up with 3 story-wise is
Gina, how
my
much
favorite thing
further?
about the second game is early on, there's no Elena, there's this new character, Chloe. It's like, okay, we're doing an Indiana Jones, James Bond thing where this is a completely disconnected story with new supporting characters besides Sully. And then it just completely pulls the rug out from under you when Elena shows up, and it just changes the entire course of the story of that game. And then
Yeah,
you get
for
to the
sure.
third, and then you get to the third one, and we just repeat that again. Like, oh no, Nathan and Elena broke up again, and we're gonna go through the same motions again. That's what feels tired to me about the third one, where it's like, we're doing this again. And that's why I love the fourth one, just because you actually get to spend time with them married, as a couple.
Well, and that's part of what goes into what I was saying is by 3 just kind of feels tired.